So here we go then, guys, getting ready to go for round 5 of the Red Arrows F1 League here this season for season 15 here in the Red Arrows League. This one's been going on for a little while, and here we are for Tier 1 tonight with 19 drivers currently on the grid, which is absolutely brilliant, and a great turnout here from all the drivers tonight. So we've got Pavlison on pole ahead of Brad in second place. Then we got Super Striker third ahead of Sniper C, Angry Guns there in P5 with Onzi. Then you got Volungis ahead of Jam, Hell Driver with ZX10 completing the top 10, Lycorius in 11th ahead of Northover, followed by Boo Boo P13, Richie ahead of Wes with Jordan, Jay, Apex and Trophy, and Youngie there rounding out the 19 driver grid here for tonight. Championship standings coming into tonight. Looking a bit like this. So you got Super Striker leading the way on 97 points, and we're starting this one in third place behind his championship rival, who sits 11 points behind him, Brad, who is second on 86. Then these guys well clear so far already in this season, ahead of Sniper C, who's third on 59 points, just a point ahead of ZX10, who is in fourth place on 58 should I say. And Jordan, Volungis, Bo and Youngie and Onslow are all very, very close in 5th to 9th places on between 49 and 41 points, at just 8 points separating those 5 guys. And Angry Guns completing the top 10 in the championship so far on 33 points. As we're lining up on the grid here, Pavlison, who sits 22nd in the standings this season, having only scored just 4 championship points so far, could have a chance to maybe get what would certainly be his first win of the season. I'm not too familiar as to what his pedigree is in this Red Arrows F1 League in the past, but for sure Pavlison has really done a phenomenal job here in qualifying here tonight, and could well be within a chance of converting it to a race victory. But a long way to go here at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve for the Canadian Grand Prix here at the Red Arrows F1 League, as the lights are coming on at the head of the grid, and we're moments away from the start of the Canadian Grand Prix. And it's lights out, we're underway, and Pavlison there gets a good jump off of the line. Brad is already coming under pressure here from Super Striker, while the holds on ahead of his teammate into turn 1, as we see Onzi's there has tried to make a move and has lost a load of places there. Onzi has dropped down to the back of the pack with a spin coming through turn 1. It's a disastrous start there for Onzi, but it's as you were from the top 5 at the moment, looking pretty tidy apart from Onzi there losing it on the opening lap of the race. What about Richie? Richie I think has had a moment as well. So Richie and Onzi there, the casualties on this opening lap, down to 18th and 19th places respectively, as Onzi's moved ahead of Richie up into 18th. So Richie's had an even bigger disaster than we saw from the other driver, but nonetheless we see Pavlison, Brad, Super Striker and Sniper C the top 4 at the moment, and it's as you were, very similar to the grid order. I can't really see many discrepancies at the moment. I'm sure there's one or two. Jordan actually has had a flying start. He's up 4 places from 17th on the grid up into 13th place. So Jordan Hillier absolutely flying here on this opening lap. Lycorius has moved ahead of Boo Boo as well, up into 11th place. Now Jordan's on the back of his teammate and looking to try and make another move here on this opening lap. I can see side by side up ahead of these guys, as it looks like Hell Driver's attacking on Volungis there going into the chicane, but not quite close enough there at the end of the first lap. But Pavlison out in front with a clear lead on the medium tyre. You'd expect the medium tyres to have the pace over the hards at this stage in the race, so no surprise to see Pavlison putting daylight between himself and Brad in these early stages. But he's looking in cruise control so far as Pavlison, looking like he knows what he's doing here out the front of this pack. We've got Jordan now moving ahead of his teammate up into 12th place. So Jordan Hillier now up 5 places from where he started in the opening lap. What a phenomenal job he's done here, our admin here at the Red Arrows F1 League, alongside Super Striker, and I'm sure there's a couple of others here in Tier 1 who I'm not familiar with, but ultimately they put a fantastic lead together here, really clean and incredibly quick as well. And yeah, it's always exciting to commentate on the Red Arrows Leagues, as we see Brad there with a big lock up into the hairpin, and now Super Striker's going to fancy his chances here. Obviously Brad is well outside of the DRS there to Pavlison, so he's going to be very vulnerable, and his teammate is now going to breeze past him down the back straight towards the chicane, and Super Striker there slots into second place without any major difficulties at all. Now who's going to get the DRS? Is it the same detection point? Yes it is. So Brad could be vulnerable here from Sniper C, but he's got the slipstream on his teammate and he's far enough ahead anyway, and should be able to hold on to third place quite comfortably there into turn 1. But exciting opening couple of laps here. Super Striker there getting ahead of his championship rival and teammate into second place. But the race leader Pavlison is just skipping away out the front. The pulse hitter having an absolute field day out there so far. But on the medium tyres you'd expect him to have the pace. And Super Striker has crucially made a move on Brad, who's on the hard tyres. So Brad's got the strategic kind of trump card, if you like. But Super Striker has made that move which he needed to do, and he's now closing up onto the leader. And I tell you what, Pavlison has been a naughty boy in his opening couple of laps. He's got himself a 3-second time penalty already. This is not what you need at this early stage in the race. This is way too early to be getting a 3-second time penalty. This is the last thing that Pavlison would have needed at the moment. His gap's just over a second to Super Striker. Super Striker not quite within DRS, and the thing is, even though you get within the detection point down towards the final chicane, ultimately if you're not within the detection point, the first detection point, you don't get the DRS. So he won't get any DRS down the main straight, even though he is now within a second. As we see Volungis has moved ahead of Angry Guns. And Brad, what's happened to Brad? Oh, Brad's had an accident there coming out the final corner. Oh my goodness me, the driver second in the championship coming into tonight has had an absolute mare there coming around the wall of champions. And Brad there has become not the first driver, and he certainly won't be the last, to stick it in the wall of champions, and he is down to 17th place here in this race. So that now gives Super Striker basically a massive opportunity here to gain a huge amount of points, and he'll be hunting down Pavlison now with confidence. Well, he'll be full of confidence at this point for sure. Pavlison on his medium tyres has got that 3-second penalty. Super Striker will have the confidence, he can make that move anyway, but now he's been given this one. He's been handed the initiative on a plate here as Angry Guns has made a mistake. Oh, Angry Guns has spun off there as he comes through the chicane. We've got a yellow flag through sector 2 as we can see the pack coming through, and Angry Guns stays out of the way. Very good driving there from Angry Guns, got to say. Managed to hold his brakes on very nicely there and not cause any more chaos. So well done to him. Got to give a hats off to that. But we see the leaders here coming down towards the final chicane once again. Pavlison, Super Striker, the gap less than a second now between those two. Sniper C ahead of Volungis with Hell Driver there in P5. As we can see, Lycorius has moved ahead of Boo Boo. In fact, Boo Boo and Wes are battling now. And Jordan, sorry, was Lycorius getting ahead? Jordan? I don't know, I think it was. Anyway, Boo Boo and Wes are battling over 11th place. Lycorius and Jordan are battling here. Jordan's been making some pretty seamless progress in the early stages of the race, but Lycorius, I'm pretty sure, just made a move on him there, which I wouldn't have expected because Jordan's been only gaining places over the last few laps. But Angry Guns there with a 3-second penalty. Obviously we saw the spin coming on the exit of the chicane in the middle sector on the previous lap, and it seems like it's going from bad to worse at the moment for Angry Guns. Maybe in a bit of a rot, just needs to get his head together and go again. But at the moment we've got a big battle here in the mid-pack. Lycorius and Jordan, and then you've got Boo Boo and Wes also fighting out over 11th place. You've got Youngie and Jay right with these guys with Apex and Trophy as well, who's definitely joining this fight here for 11th place. But Boo Boo currently leads that train here, as we can see. Brad Races now bringing himself into contention. Obviously had the hit the wall of champions, or don't know if he hit the wall of champions, but it was certainly an incident in that part of the circuit. Maybe he tagged the curb because it doesn't appear to have too much damage, so it probably involved the curb going through the wall of champions. Oh, as the Red Bull there tags his nose on the inside. That was never going to work there, and Apex and Trophy just put his nose in a place where it wasn't supposed to go. Jay is the unfortunate victim of that one, and Jay and Apex and Trophy, well, way down the order. Apex and Trophy's rage quit from the race after that. Or did he have terminal damage? Didn't appear to be that much of a violent collision, so I wouldn't have thought that would be an instant retirement. I reckon he may have just thrown in the towel there personally. But anyway, that means that Jay's in the pits after being taken out there by the Red Bull of Apex and Trophy. Angry Guns has now rage quit as well. So absolute carnage here right at the end of lap 5. And we're on to lap 6 here with the leaders. We've got a virtual safety car at the moment, so hopefully that will subside as soon as possible and we can get back underway here. But wow, dramatic opening few laps here for the Canadian Grand Prix here at the Red Arrows F1 League. So it looks like we're still under caution at the moment. Yellow flags are still waving, so we're just going to wait a moment before we get going again. Here we go. Right, I think we're racing again. So Super Striker here. Now ahead of Pavlison into first place, having made that overtake. And let's see if Pavlison can try and keep up with Super Striker, but obviously hasn't got a penalty. One driver who's going to be a big threat to Super Striker and Pavlison is Sniper C, because he's on the hard tyres, has obviously gone for the more durable, less quick compound, and that'll be paying dividends as this stint wears on. Jordan's got a 3-second penalty here, running in P10 on the back of Lycorius, so looking to try and make a few more positions here, but with the burden of a 3-second additional timestamp to his classification time at the end of this race. We've got Volungis there moving ahead of Helldriver up into 4th place on the exit of the chicane down towards the hairpin, but he's going to give the DRS now to Helldriver down the back straight, so this could be a chance for Helldriver to make the move back on him again. As Helldriver here in the slipstream as they come down towards the chicane, and he's going to get a big closing speed here, and he's going to get another dose of DRS as well out of the chicane down towards turn 1. So can he make this move down here if he couldn't make it here? Here we go, look at this. Aston is very close here, looking down towards turn 1, and he's just a little bit too far away there. And the likelihood now is that Volungis will start to pull away, because starting on the hards, obviously at this point in the race, the hards are now going to be just that little bit more secure. The mediums are still going to be quick, but they're going to be sliding around a little bit, and I think that impetus now is sort of starting to be geared towards the hard tyres. They're the tyres that the drivers are going to be feeling more confident on at this point in the race. We're starting to see Sniper C put the pressure a little bit on the top two, Super Striker and Pavlison. Also, Pavlison is not falling off a Super Striker at all. He's stuck to the task really well, despite Super Striker making the overtake a couple of laps ago. Pavlison is certainly not letting him off the hook here as we now come out of the hairpin once again. So Pavlison will be fancying a chance here down the back straight into the chicane. Or if he can't do it there, then maybe down the main straight, but he's not going to have to wait for the main straight, because he's going to make the move down towards the chicane here and into the wall of champions they come. And Pavlison's got another 3-second penalty. Oh my goodness me, as he gets it horribly wrong there out of the chicane, and Sniper C is going to swoop through up into 2nd place. So Pavlison there made the move, cut the corner, got a penalty, and ended up tagging the wall as well, all at the same time. It wasn't the wall of champions that he hit, it was the one opposite, but Pavlison nonetheless having troubles here, and it appears that chicane by the wall of champions is catching out a lot of these top drivers here in the Red Arrows League here tonight. We've seen obviously Brad have a moment earlier on, now we've seen Pavlison do the same thing. Let's hope that Super Striker and Sniper C can have better fortunes in that neck of the woods around Circuit Gilles Villeneuve tonight. But Jam has also got a penalty and has been into the pits and has put a fresh set of medium tyres on. Jay-Z's also got some fresh-ish tyres on. As we see Sniper C now piling on the pressure on the back of the championship leader, who got a good exit out of the hairpin, but Sniper C went for that wide exit, which is going to give him more speed down the straight. He'll get a bit of DRS here to just put him under a bit more pressure as well, as he's getting closer and closer and closer, way too far back to make a move into the chicane, but could potentially be having Super Striker looking over his shoulder here. As we see Pavlison into the pits here at the end of lap 9. We see Volungis here coming over the line, moving into 3rd place with Pavlison in the pits. Northover now into 4th place. So the hard tyre run is now starting to come into play a little bit. Volungis has been quiet at the moment, or so far in this race, running a little way behind the leaders. But who knows, on the hard tyres could start to become a bit of a factor. The thing is, the whole pack is so tight in this Red Arrows F1 League, it's really hard to find a pit window. Even if you're at the front, it's really hard to sort of find a good moment to slot in and it not affect your race too much. This is where starting on the hards really can play into your hands, and we see Sniper C now has moved ahead of Super Striker into the lead of the race. So the medium tyres now really starting to struggle at this point in the race. We can see that Sniper C has already got himself out of that 1 second gap here to Super Striker, so he's already well away from DRS threat. Although Super Striker did actually just about stay within DRS at the detection point. because the detection point is before the hairpin, so you obviously lose a lot of time being on worn tyres through the hairpin, but he wasn't outside of that range, and he might actually be able to get well back in DRS here down the straight with the aid of it. So he might have been saved a little bit there by the timing of the detection point. The gap is now down to 8 tenths again, so let's see if Super Striker can keep himself close here through the first sector. At the moment the gap's under a second, so he might be able to keep the pressure here on the back of Sniper C for another lap or so. But it's going to be quite close here, as we see Onzi, Brad and Youngie all in the pits here at the end of lap 10. So what's Brad gone for? Brad's gone for the medium tyres. Sorry, for the hard tyres, should I say. Brad started also on the hards, I think. Did he? I think he might have started on the hards, which is quite an odd one, because you would think that he would be, you know, trying to go long on the hards, but he's gone for another set of hards on lap 10. Very early on in the race, so I'm not quite sure what he's trying to do there. But anyway, let's keep an eye on Brad, because he's got pace. We know he's got pace, and he's obviously second in the championship. Qualified second for this Grand Prix here tonight as well. But it's looking like the man who qualified third is going to be fighting it out with the man who qualified fourth. Because the front row starters here tonight, Pavliston and Brad, have both had their fair share of difficulties so far here in this race, as Pavliston has picked off Jordan up into P6. Jordan's in the pits, so Pavliston here coming into turn 1 here in P5 now, just ahead of Lycorius. So we've got ZX10, Jordan and Richie all in the pits here at the end of lap 11. As Brad's lining up a move here on Youngie, and it's going to make that move pretty easy there into the chicane. Lycorius there with a 3-second penalty. The penalties are being handed out left, right and centre at the moment. Incredible amount of penalties being brandished by the stewards here in Canada tonight, as we got Super Striker still keeping to the back of Sniper C, despite Sniper C being on much better tyres at this point. Super Striker's not giving up on this one at all, and he'll get another dose of DRS here down towards the chicane. He's going to have a good chance actually of making a move here. He's not that far back. He's not going to make a move into the chicane, but if he can stay close through the chicane, he'll have a chance into turn 1. I think he's a bit too far back, as Brad there, 3-second penalty, and oh wow, we've got both of the leaders coming in. So Super Striker managed to make those medium tyres last 12 laps. Now I think everyone's going to be 2-stopping. I'll be very surprised to see 1 stops going on here. But Sniper C into the box and hard tyres going on. Super Striker started on the medium tyres and is doing another stint on the medium tyres. So that guarantees Super Striker's doing a 2-stop. I mean, it was pretty obvious anyway, but he's definitely 2-stopping. Now, how long is this stint going to be? We've got a bit of traffic here in the shape of Jam. Sniper C clears Jam, but can Super Striker? This could be crucial with Super Striker's race, as he manages to get around the outside of Jam. He's now going to have the inside for this next sequence, and on the inside of the next corner, and Super Striker will finally get that move done on cold tyres. He had no time to waste there, and he's still just about within a second here of Sniper C at this point. So Super Striker just about clung on to that and gets away with it. And we'll be able to try and chase down his teammate, rival for this race win, as we see Jam having to fend off Helldriver in the background there in the battle for P7 as well. And Helldriver might fancy a move, but Jam will have the DRS from Super Striker, as Jam goes a little bit wide there going through the hairpin. Helldriver here is going to have the slipstream down the back straight. As in the foreground here, we've got a heck of a battle going on right now. Sniper C has moved ahead of Boo Boo. Boo Boo got well out of the way, as Super Striker here trying to attack down towards the chicane. The thing is, Sniper C is going to get another dose of DRS because he was behind Boo Boo at the time of the detection point. So Super Striker is not going to be able to get close enough to Sniper C to put him under any real pressure there going into turn 1, and has to hold position for the time being. But what a battle it is going on here between Helldriver and Jam, and Boo Boo's now a sitting duck for these guys. Boo Boo's still on the tyres he started on, so is Northover and Lycorius, running in second and third places on the road at the moment. But goodness knows where they're going to come out after this, because they're going a long way on those tyres. I wonder if they're holding out for a potential 1-stop here. It would be a very audacious attempt to try something like that, as Sniper C's moved ahead of Lycorius now. Super Striker will be trying to do the same. The leaders here trying to negotiate the traffic, who are under no obligation to move out of the way. There's Lycorius there on the inside. Super Striker now trying to go around the outside here, and this is going to be a risky move for Super Striker as he almost goes into the wall there on the outside of the hairpin. And my goodness, he must have been closing his eyes there and just praying the car could turn a bit more. And somehow he managed to keep that out of the barriers. I think he might have just kissed the wall on the outside there, but he was ever so wide as he went around the outside of Lycorius. Super Striker here trying to keep tabs with his rival for the race win here tonight, as Northover here is into the pits. So now that leaves Lycorius to pit. Boo Boo's now in as well. That just leaves Lycorius of the drivers who have yet to pit in this race. Lycorius, the only one still on the tyres he started the race on. And Super Striker now on the back of Sniper C in its battle for second place, which is going to be the net lead soon, because Pavlison has already... Well, Pavlison came in a few laps earlier. Do you know what? Pavlison has just executed the most incredible undercut I think I've ever seen. He's about 8 seconds clear of these two. So these guys were faffing about in traffic, and Pavlison is 8 seconds up the road. I mean, that is just incredible. But these two have now got clean air. I mean, Sniper C's in a good position. I'll tell you what, Super Striker's going to be livid with this situation. He's been stuck behind Sniper C because they've both been making their way through traffic. Sniper C's had DRS at every single possible point. But here comes Super Striker now, and he's going to make the move into the chicane quite easily. And he'll get another dose of DRS to take himself clear of Sniper C. So he should be pretty comfortable here in P2 for the time being, and they'll both be closing in on Pavlison, who's out the front. As Jam has got ahead of Lycorius, and Lycorius still going on those hard tyres which he started the race on, but he seems to be really struggling at this point. Volungis is now going to get around the outside of Lycorius up into P6, so Volungis trying to stay in this battle here with Jam. But Hell Driver now 3 seconds up the road from these guys. Jam's got a 3-second penalty there for track limits. That's another one there. And we know that at least one driver's got 6 seconds worth. That's Pavlison, who's currently leading the race. But nonetheless, driving pretty damn quickly, regardless. But he has used up a lot of ERS. So is Super Striker, to be fair. So is Sniper C. In fact, most of them have. But Lungus has saved a lot of ERS. So's Boo Boo actually as well. But we see Northover's moved ahead of Jordan up into 9th place on fresher tyres, medium tyres as well for Northover. Jordan might be able to come back at him later in a stint. As Onzi there's got a 3-second penalty, and Pavlison has got another penalty. So Pavlison here has really been overstepping those track limits, I tell you. He's been really pushing his luck over the course of tonight so far. Sniper C still keeping to the back of Super Striker, despite Super Striker making a move on him a couple of laps ago. Super Striker and Sniper C are both gaining on the leader Pavlison, who has that 9-second penalty now, at least. That's just what I've seen. I don't like getting the penalties up on the screen until we're sort of in the last few laps of the race, once everyone's done their tyre stops and all that, because you know they're all in the same boat. But nonetheless, we've got a battle here going on between ZX10 and Lycorius and Northover, as well as Jordan. Oh, it's Lycorius, they got it a little bit wrong, and Jordan Hillier there is able to pounce on that beautifully there and makes a double overtake up into 8th place. He'll be chuffed to bits with that one, as Northover's now been has now got past Lycorius as well on the inside. Now he could potentially be making a move on Jordan. Jordan's now vulnerable and can't do anything about this. He's got the other two coming back up his inside. Jordan manages to keep it around the outside of Lycorius and stays in 9th place, but Northover there getting back up into P8 as ZX10 has managed to get away from these guys a little bit with all that going on behind him. But Jordan seemed to have played an absolute corker there going through the hairpin, but unfortunately for him, just fell victim to the DRS really there, albeit I think it might have been drive out of the corner, because they all had DRS, but it was just his exit out of the corner was not what he wanted. But nonetheless, he's still right on the back of Northover here in this fight for 8th place. But an exciting battle here in the mid-pack, and Jordan will be looking to try and pounce on this Williams as soon as he possibly can here, because he's got ZX10 starting to break away ever so slightly, and he won't want that. ZX10 has got Jam in front of him though, so he will find himself unable to pull away in a second. So here we go then, ZX10 with the DRS on the back of Jam, and I'll tell you what, he could drag North over with him here because they're both very close. But here goes ZX10 as he's now going to make the move to the inside. Pretty routine stuff there from the Alpine up into P6. Jam couldn't really do a whole lot about that. As in the background now you've got North over here looking to the inside of Jam, and Jam's going to lose 2, maybe even 3 places here. Jordan's pretty close behind them as well. Jordan's too far back into turn 1, and it's as you were between these guys for the time being then. As ZX10 North over Jam and Jordan here fighting it out over P6 at this point. Jordan looking to the inside down towards turn 3, but just a little bit too far away there as he went through the corner. Wes there with a 3-second penalty. So that's for track limits there. He's been pushing it a little bit too much. Sniper C here is on the back of Super Striker in this fight for second place. And he still might be able to make the move. These two are both closing in on the race leader, Pavlison. They've got fresher tyres, Pavlison with a humongous amount of penalties as well. But Sniper C's keeping to back of Super Striker, and he'll be poised here because, as I mentioned before, Sniper C being on the more durable tyres, it will pay dividends later on. What I was saying that in the first stint, Super Striker managed to get his tyres to last the same amount of laps that Sniper C did, despite the fact that they had the same tyres on in the first stint as they do now. So when you consider that, maybe Super Striker isn't pushing as much as he could in order to be able to get them to go the same distance as the hards. You can't be pushing them 100%, that's for sure. So maybe Super Striker isn't going absolutely ham at the moment, but the gap is about 2 seconds between Pavlison and this pair right now, who are still fighting over second place on the road. North over here is still on the back of ZX10 in his fight for P6, but these guys now clear of Jordan, who's running in 8th place. As North over there with a 3-second penalty, as he's feeling the pressure a little bit here in this fight for P6. This is Alpine versus Williams here. These two perennial midfield challengers as they come through the hairpin, and Northover seems to have just dropped a little bit off as ZX10 over the last lap or so. As in the meantime, it looks like Sniper C's got ahead of Super Striker here up into second place, and will now get another dose of DRS to take him clear of Super Striker, as Pavlison into the pits here at the end of lap 20, and is probably going to go to the end of the race from here, I would have thought, on those hard tyres. As Jordan's got a 3-second time penalty there, and I think that might be his second one. I have a feeling he's already got one. Pavlison, pretty sure he has already had one. So that's not going to bode well at all for Jordan there. Pardon me. I do apologise, I've got a very dry throat. But Sniper C is still about just under 2 seconds ahead of Super Striker at this point. And Boo Boo's out of the race. Is that going to be a safety car? I think it definitely was a crash, I think, because there's yellow flags. But I think we're going to get away without a safety car, which is good because it keeps the tactical element to the race, doesn't allow people to just catch up and go again. It's not a race restart, it's just a continuation of what we've already had, which is always good. A race without any safety cars or anything like that is exactly what you want. Keeps the tactical element to the race, keeps the strategy alive. As Super Striker is now into the pits, so he's going for the undercut now on Sniper C. Now does Sniper C react, because the gap was about 2 seconds when Super Striker came in. Super Striker's now gone for the hard tyres. Thing is though, Sniper C's got to run the mediums in the final stint, because he's done it. Both of his first 2 stints have been on the hards, so he has to run mediums for the final stint. How far is he going to be able to go on those mediums? Is he going to risk putting them on at the end of lap 22 and doing 13 laps on the mediums? Or is he going to play it safe, do an extra lap, probably come out behind Super Striker, who's going to get the undercut? Or does he try and cover him off and stretch out that final stint on the mediums, which is going to be really difficult? It's going to be fascinating to see what Sniper C does here. But Super Striker has come out with 2 seconds of clean air to Jordan. Jordan, his fellow admin here at Red Arrows. I imagine he'll be hoping that Jordan won't be playing any games here or holding him up. I bet he's probably saying to Jordan over the voice chat at the moment, Jordan, I'm here, and I am faster than you, or something along those lines anyway. But anyway, Jordan the one driving the Ferrari, Super Striker obviously in the Merc, but yeah, I bet Super Striker's hoping that Jordan plays some sort of team game here, as Helldriver into the pits here at the end of lap 22. So I wonder if Helldriver's planning to do a 13 lap stint on some medium tyres. No, he's doing a 13 lap stint on some hard tyres. And Super Striker's still going around for the time being. Sniper C still hasn't pitted yet, so he's doing at least another lap there on those hard tyres. We know we know the mediums can do 12 laps, because Super Striker did 12 laps on the mediums earlier, and that was with a full tank as well, so it is possible. So we could be seeing Sniper C at the end of this lap. Super Striker's being held up a little bit behind Jordan at the moment, which he will not be too thankful for, I'm sure. He will now get some DRS though, and Jordan stays well out of the way, sees him coming, and doesn't make it too difficult for him in the end. But I reckon he probably lost about half a second to a second there during that first sector, because Jordan was really struggling on those much older hard tyres than what Super Striker was. But nonetheless, race leader coming to the end of the straight. Is he coming in this lap? No, he's not just yet. Sniper C extending the stint. He wants a delta. He wants not just a faster tyre, he also wants a strong tyre delta to be able to put the pressure on Super Striker in this final stint. But Super Striker will have the more durable compound, the more reliable compound for the final stint. But Sniper C will have some pace when he comes out of the pits here. Pavlison has now got a 12-second penalty at least. That's just what I've seen. I've seen his name flash 4 times at the top of the screen, so he is picking up these penalties for fun. I'd be surprised if he's in the top 5 at the end of this race. He's got the pace clearly, but no discipline whatsoever. And I saw the qualifying lap, the pole position at the start of this race, and I honestly, I was surprised. I thought, well, how has he only got 4 points? I'm starting to understand why. But anyway, to be fair, he's clearly got pace. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to knock the guy. I don't want to knock him at all. In fact, I like to big people up, but I've got to just say things how I see it. It's just my observation as a commentator. But anyway, ZX10er here is well within DRS of Volungis at the moment as they're coming down the back straight. Is he going to have a chance to get a bit closer here? No, because he wasn't within DRS at the detection point. So as we see in the background there, Super Striker picking off Northover up into 5th place, obviously on different strategies, but Super Striker trying to chase down the race leader Sniper C, who has got to pit again. And Super Striker, no surprise there, putting in the fastest lap of the race so far, as Jam there with a 3-second time penalty for multiple track limit warnings, as we see Youngie into the pits here at the end of lap 24. But Sniper C out the front, currently enjoying himself in clean air, but he will be fully aware of Super Striker's pace at the moment, having seen the fastest lap flashing up on the board there, and knowing that he's got a big undercut on much fresher tyres. But Sniper C will have the faster tyres once he comes into the pits. He will have a 4-lap tyre delta, albeit the less durable compound, because he has to run the mediums for this final stint to Sniper C. He's done both of his first 2 stints on the hards, so a mandatory medium stint coming up here for Sniper C, and he is now coming into the pits, so it's going to be a 10-lap stint to the end here for the current race leader. He won't be at a second. Pavlison's going to retake the lead on the track, albeit he has got a 12-second penalty. Volungis will move into 2nd place on the road. Volungis could be in with a shout of a podium here for sure, with Pavlison's enormous penalty, but actually no, he's not, because he's coming into the pits. But Super Striker moves into 2nd place, and lots of drivers coming into the pits here actually. Pavlison doesn't need to pit again, so Pavlison might be okay for a P5 here actually, but anyway, the situation is currently this. Super Striker is running in 2nd place. He is the net leader, Sniper C is a net second place at the moment because he's on fresh medium tyres. Should be able to make light work of Hell Driver. In fact, he already has. He's just got... Oh, Hell Driver's made a mistake. That's why it happened so quickly. I saw the gap was 2 seconds. I thought, hold on a second, that can't be right. And Hell Driver there has made an absolute hash there of the exit of the chicane and is now running down in P5 after that. So on 3-lap old hard tyres, that's not really a mistake that you should be making so early in a stint. But Hell Driver now behind Jam, who moves up into 4th place. And Sniper C is gapped to Super Striker currently 6 seconds on those fresh medium tyres. Although in the last couple of laps, I think his advantage in terms of pace will be somewhat negated. So he needs to get a move on whilst he's got that advantage in those tyres. Super Striker will be feeling pretty confident, I would have thought, at this stage on those hards. He doesn't need to push too much, just needs to try and maintain the gap as much as he can. The likelihood is Sniper C will eat into that gap, but Super Striker's just got to limit the amount that Sniper C is carving into that gap. But Sniper C 0.6 quicker than his previous personal best fastest time in that first sector, and I have a feeling we might be seeing another improvement to the fastest lap of the race here on this lap 27 of this Canadian Grand Prix here at the Red Arrows F1 League, as we see Sniper C here coming through the middle sector, gap just about bang on 6 seconds at the moment, so it's come down a few tenths over the course of this lap. Sniper C into the hairpin, didn't gain a whole lot coming through the middle sector there, the gap to his previous personal best similar to what it was in the first sector. But here comes Sniper C then, as he now is coming down the back straight. The gap now under 6 seconds, it just creeps over again there between Super Striker and Sniper C as he comes down towards the chicane. Let's keep an eye here as he's pretty committed there through that chicane. Now let's have a look, see if this is the fastest lap here for Sniper C. No, it's not. He's slower than Super Striker was on his fresh hard tyres, and albeit Super Striker won't be on the pace that he was on 3 or 4 laps ago, he will still be putting in pretty solid times because those hard tyres don't go off too quickly. So it's likely here that Super Striker has got the measure at the moment. If Sniper C can only gain by around 4/10 a lap, he's not going to get the job done here. He needs to be gaining about a second a lap at this point because his advantage will wither off in the last couple of laps. As we see, we've got a battle here between Valungis, ZX10 and Northover at the moment. Penalties obviously pending. We will get that up once, I'm sure. In fact, I think everybody's going to the end now. Yeah, I think everyone's going to the end, so we can get the penalties up now. So let's have a little look. So we got Pavlison. Yeah, I was right. 12 seconds worth for Pavlison. Super Striker and Sniper C, clean as a whistle. Haven't put a foot wrong. Jam, 9 seconds. My goodness. Hell Driver's done a brilliant job tonight. And could Hell Driver be on the podium? Probably not, because Pavlison is well clear. Could be a P4 for Hell Driver though. ZX10 has got ahead of Valungis. Both of these two with 3-second penalties, and ZX10 has made that move for P6 here, as Brad has moved ahead of Jordan up into 9th place. Brad can now try and chase down this fight here for P6 as ZX10 of Valungis and Northover. He's got not too much of a gap to overhaul here. We know that Brad's got pace around this track, and if it wasn't for a mistake at the Wall of Champions early in the race, could have been a real factor here with the likes of Super Striker and Sniper C. But Pavlison out the front leading the race, but with the trail of penalties, it's not going to be Pavlison's day. We know that for sure. It's going to be either Super Striker or Sniper C. Sniper C is closing the gap here to Super Striker by quite a lot at this stage. He has now started to find a gear here. I was saying he needs to be finding more than what he is. I think he's found about a second on this lap so far. So he has certainly responded. But is it going to be enough for Sniper C to reel in the championship leader, who's looking to try and extend his gap at the moment, and with his closest rival, who's 11 points behind, currently running in P10 at the moment, because Jordan has just got back ahead of Brad, although Brad has got a 3-second penalty compared to Jordan's 9. But the point is, Brad is only on course at the moment to score 2 points at best. If Super Striker can win the race, the gap would be 34 points at the top of the standings. Sniper C's not really anywhere near these two in the standings at this point, so he won't be able to take the baton away from Brad, so to speak, in being Super Striker's closest rival. Super Striker is going to be pretty much out on his own in the championship standings after this one, as things stand. But Pavlison out the front with the gap at about 2 seconds over Super Striker. As we see Northovers there that has moved ahead of Volungis up into 7th place. Jordan still ahead of Brad as they come into the hairpin once again. We see a bit of a lock up there from Brad as he came into the corner. There's Wes in the background at the moment. ZX Tenor has moved back ahead of Hell Driver up into P5 as well. A Hell Driver without a penalty, so that will obviously serve him well by the end of the race. He's within penalty range of Jam and ZX Tenor, so will currently be P4 by the end of the race, as Jordan and Brad still battling it out here over 9th place. Jordan here giving Brad a real good run for his money as they come through the first corner. Jam with another 3-second penalty. He's now got 12 seconds worth. As Jordan there with a lovely cutback on Brad coming out of turn 2. Down towards 3. Brad has a little look to the inside, but he's not going to do that one, as Brad there gets a 3-second penalty again. He's now got 6 seconds worth, so he needs to be careful, because at this stage he will get 9th place on the penalties to Jordan, but if he gets another one, he won't be able to make the most of that. So he needs to just, I think, just take a deep breath here. It's not all doom and gloom. You can certainly get that extra point for 9th place as compared to just the 1 for 1st, or for 10th, sorry, should I say. So you'll only get 1 point for finishing 10th, you get 2 for finishing in 9th. So he's currently just needs to keep himself calm here at this point, make sure he's got that penalty delta. In the meantime, it looks as though Sniper C's charge after Super Striker has started to peter out. ZX10 has moved ahead of Jam once again up into 4th place, as Brad has got Jordan going down the back straight and is up into 9th place again here. And crucially, with that less penalties as well, Brad should be able to cement his position there in P9. But the gap down to just a second between Pavlison and Super Striker at this point. Sniper C's charge has well and truly withered out here on his medium tyres. They really do fall apart very quickly here. They always start the stint off very well, but they tend to really fall by the wayside rapidly around Circuit Gilles Villeneuve here on this F125 game. Super Striker though piling the pressure on Pavlison, not just obviously because he will get the win anyway, but he wants to get this win on the track. He wants to have the kudos, doesn't he, of getting the move done on the track and actually crossing the line first. It's always much more sweet when you can win a race by crossing the line first, as opposed to getting it in a steward's room, and Super Striker will certainly be wanting to do that here as we come on to the 3rd last lap of this race. Lap 33 of 35 here for the Canadian Grand Prix at the Red Arrows F1 League, as we've got ZX Tenor still fighting with Jam and Hell Driver here for 4th, 5th and 6th places. Jordan still right with Brad as he makes the move again there down the back straight. Jordan back up into 9th place once again. Can Brad get a run here down the start-finish straight though? He's going to have a look here. He's going to look to the outside. He's now going to duck back to the inside there as Brad went for a little bit of a feint there as he was appearing to tuck in, but to no avail. And Jordan holds his nerve there. Stands his ground very nicely. So here we come then. Oh, as Pavlison was a bit deep there going through the hairpin, wasn't he? I tell you what, didn't look that too confident at all there. Super Striker now with the DRS down the back straight. He's going to breeze past him there into the chicane. And up into the lead he goes once again. Pavlison there with a 3-second time penalty as well. So Pavlison there with a 15-second penalty for this race overall. Super Striker though has made the move into the lead and is pretty much got this one in the bag as well, barring any major catastrophes in the final 2 laps of this race, and he'll fully deserve it. Started on his medium tyres, which it appears, based on the evidence of this race, like the medium tyres were the bogey tyre around this track. The hard tyres certainly better over a stint. After about 4 or 5 laps, the mediums lose all of their advantage. and they're basically just baggage to carry around for the rest of the stint after that. Sniper C is currently showing that, because first couple of laps he came out of the blocks flying. He was gaining half a second to a second in his first couple of laps out of the pits in this final stint, and then these last few laps has been absolutely falling off, and has been no match to Super Striker in this final stint of the race, or Pavlicen for that matter. Both of these two have pulled away from Pavlicen in these last couple of laps. Pavlicen is Sniper C even, but Pavlicen here on the back of Sniper C. Sorry, Pavlicen on the back of Super Striker, should I say. Goodness me, my brain is mashed. I'm very sleepy. But Pavlicen too far away on Super Striker going into turn 1. Super Striker doesn't need to defend it, but I'm sure he'd love to cross the line first and have the plaudits of actually hitting the checker flag before anybody else. As we see, Jordan's got back ahead of Brad again in his battle for 9th place, as these two continue to fight it out all the way to the final lap of the race. Brad won't have DRS because obviously 1 detection point, so Jordan cements his 9th place there into turn 1. Here are the two leaders then, Super Striker and Pavlicen. Can Pavlicen get the lead back here on this final lap? I don't think he can. He's just had to run over the chicane there as he went a bit wide. Super Striker here is coming into the final hairpin for the final time here in this Canadian Grand Prix here at the Red Arrows F1 League for season 15, round 5 of this 14-round season, and Super Striker has driven an absolutely fantastic race. Started on the medium tyres, did his first 2 stints on the mediums, and then switched to the hards, and has come alive in this final stint. Was right there in contention in the first 2 stints, but has shown his class here around Circuit Gilles Villeneuve tonight as he comes up towards the line. Pavlicen with his 15-second penalty will drop off the podium, but Super Striker is your winner for tonight, ahead of Pavlicen, who is second on the track, but he will drop down to at least 3rd. I think he will actually hold on for a podium though. So Sniper C takes P2, Pavlicen is 3rd in the end, ahead of ZX10er, who will come home in 4th place ahead of Jam in 5th, and in fact Hell Driver jumps both of those two, so Hell Driver 4th, ZX10er 5th ahead of Northover 6th, and Jam 7th. Valungis over the line to finish this one in 8th place in the end, ahead of Brad, who pips Jordan to the line there in 9th, Jordan 10th, the final point, although saying that, obviously the point system is slightly different here at the Red Arrows F1 League, and I always forget that, but it's not really that big of a deal, is it? But anyway, Wes P12 ahead of Lycorius, who's going to come over to finish this one in P13. Youngie actually moved ahead of Brad and Jordan, they're up into 9th, so Jordan wasn't in the top 10, Brad moved up into P10, Lycorius 13th ahead of Richie, who's coming up towards the line to finish this one in 14th place. Jay will finish in P15, and the last driver to finish with Onzi, Boo Boo, Angry Guns and Apex and Trophy all retiring from the race before the end. But that is that then, guys, for tonight. Hopefully the drivers, I hope you guys all enjoyed watching this back, and if you did, then that makes me extremely happy. And yeah, if you guys are interested in seeing anything more on this channel, then there will be some Purple Sector F1 League action occurring on Tuesday and Thursday night, and also I still intend to start my own league on my own server at some point, which I've already said hopefully will be everyone uses different cars every week, realistic performance, first week equal cars, random selection, and then from then on you reverse the championship order, so you have drivers at the bottom of the championship in the fastest cars, you know, the McLarens, the Red Bulls, etc., and you have the guys at the top of the championship driving in the Hasses and the Saubers. Let's see what happens. I mean, it'd be a cool idea. I'm interested to see how it goes. But each week, the selection of the cars will be assigned, and it will be on the Discord server. But yeah, that's my plan anyway. But thanks, guys, for watching as always. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one.